Andres is running some routine software tests. At first, everything looks pretty normal, but then he spots something. This peak here is not a typical CPU load. Not a huge problem, but it's annoying. Plus, he can't make sense of it right away. Little does Andres know that this is not just some random bug. It's a cleverly hidden backdoor. One that's been planted over years by hostile forces, possibly state-sponsored hackers. Now it's set to spread globally and give the perpetrators access to millions of servers around the world. To the systems of hospitals, companies, and entire governments. A master key to the internet and everything connected to it, right in the hands of criminals. Andres doesn't know about any of this yet, but he's about to literally save the internet. To understand this story, we first need to take a little detour into software engineering and a very particular little piece of code. A lot of software out there is company-owned, like Word, which belongs to Microsoft. Only Microsoft employees can tweak and further develop that software. But then there's software that is open source. It works kind of like Wikipedia. The source code is out in the open for anyone to see and use. Basically, anyone can contribute and suggest changes. That has led to the creation of many programs that are fundamental to our digital infrastructure. While anyone can pitch in on open source projects, there are usually a few people in charge. These so-called maintainers have the final say on the code and review any changes before they get implemented. Lasse Collin is one of these maintainers. He has been working for years on the Linux tool xzutils. Linux is the most widely used open source operating system in the world. You may not be running Linux directly on your own computer, but it powers most of the world's servers, mainframes, and every single one of the top 500 supercomputers. XZ is a data compression format included in pretty much all major Linux distributions. A Linux distribution is like a full package of all the essential programs your computer needs to run. Different distros are designed for different purposes. xzutils compresses and packages data so it can be transferred and stored faster. It's kind of like zip files. Collin developed the tool back in 2005. As its maintainer, he has been in charge of all changes to xzutils ever since. He reviews suggested edits and then approves them, or not. Once the approved changes are in place, a new version of xzutils can be included in Linux distros. But lately that process has hit a bit of a snag. 2 volunteer developers are not happy with how Collin has been handling his maintenance duties. They feel like he's way too slow in responding to change requests and messages. Dennis Entz is clearly frustrated when he asks for updates.
I asked a question here a week ago and have not heard back.
Jigar Kumar also seems fed up with how slow things are moving.
With your current rate, I very doubt to see 4.0 release this year. The only progress since April has been small changes to test code.
He even suggests that they might need a new maintainer.
Dennis, you are better off waiting until a new maintainer happens or fork yourself. Submitting patches here has no purpose these days. The current maintainer lost interest or doesn't care to maintain anymore.
Lasse Collin appears to be struggling with the workload. After all, his work on xzutils is just an unpaid hobby. But Entz and Kumar clearly want someone who can dedicate more time to the project and respond faster to their suggestions. In response to Kumar's message, Collin writes,
I haven't lost interest, but my ability to care has been fairly limited. Mostly due to long-term mental health issues, but also due to some other things.
He also says,
recently, I've worked off-list a bit with Idan on xzutils, and perhaps she will have a bigger role in the future. We'll see.
Idan first pops up on the developer platform GitHub in January 2021. For over a year, she contributes to other projects. Then, in 2022, she starts submitting changes for xzutils. From that point on, she becomes a regular contributor. Tan is dedicated and polite. She writes friendly messages and helps out wherever she can.
Nice job to both of you for getting this feature as far as it is already. Let me know your thoughts on these patches when you have a chance. Is it good enough or did I add bad bugs? Just trying to do my part as a helper elf.
Maybe after getting all those annoyed messages from Ensign Kumar, Colin is just relieved to finally have some help. Someone to lighten the load and actively push the project. At one point, Colin explains that a maintainer needs the skills, time and interest to really stay committed to the software. And Jiatan seems to check all those boxes. Back then, Colin doesn't realize that something is seriously off about her. This video, hopefully, offers a glance into the fascinating world of programming. If you're getting inspired by this story, why not learn more about the subject? Enter Brilliant, our favorite hands-on learning platform. Brilliant does an incredible job at breaking down major future skills like coding, AI, and math to interactive and super engaging lessons. For example, to be able to code, you'll want to get into Python, one of the key programming languages out there. Brilliant will get you coding from day one with their built-in drag-and-drop editor. You'll work through essential elements like loops, variables, and conditionals and learn to develop a programming mindset. And as you progress, you'll already start building actual programs that can form the basis for proper games or apps. If that's not your thing, there are so many other courses on countless subjects on Brilliant. You'll definitely find something that interests you. All of their courses help you in developing problem-solving skills in a diverse range of subjects. Our viewers can now try everything Brilliant has to offer free of charge for 30 days. Scan the QR code or visit brilliant.org/fern to start your trial and get 20% off your annual premium subscription. In June 2022, Tan gets promoted to co-maintainer. She takes on more and more control of the project over the course of the year. She starts editing exitutils on her own, and in March 2023, she changes the contact mail at OSFAS, a service that helps identify bugs in open source projects. From now on, security alerts are no longer sent to Colin, but exclusively to Tan. Shortly after, a new user named Hans Janssen submits a change request for XZ, and Tan approves it. 9 months later, March 2024, Janssen sends a message to the Debian project. Debian is a widespread Linux-based operating system known to be stable and secure. Janssen wants the Debian team to include a new version of exitutils in an upcoming Debian version, saying it will fix a specific bug. 2 other users chime in to praise the fix, Grigorin and Miso Eater. And when another user raises concerns, Grigorin is clearly annoyed and quickly shuts them down.
Instead of having a policy debate over who is proper to do this upload, can this just be fixed?
Shortly after, the Debian project integrates the new version of exitutils into a preliminary version of their operating system called Sid. Around the same time, Andres Freund is working as a developer at Microsoft. He has also been actively contributing to an open source project. He has just downloaded the latest version of Sid to run some tests for his project. Sid is not for public release and marked as unstable and insecure. Developers can test it for bugs before new features get officially integrated. And during his tests, Andres notices something strange. Something is taking up way too many resources in SSH. SSH is used to remote access Linux machines. Why is SSH draining such a crazy amount of CPU? Something is off. He also notices a considerable drop in performance, a lag of 500 milliseconds. That's half a second. Something nobody else would ever notice, but Andres does. So he takes a closer look at SSH and realizes that the delay is related to exitutils. On many Linux distributions, SSH has a dependency on exitutils. That means that certain exit functions are invoked when SSH is executed. Andres digs deeper into exitutils and discovers that someone has slipped in a malicious piece of code. And this code allows that someone to sneak into the system via SSH. It's a backdoor. This backdoor is so well hidden that no one caught it while reviewing and testing the code. A phenomenal, scary attack. But this disguise is slowing the malicious code down. And it's that exact delay that Andres Freund has noticed when starting SSH. On March 27, he sends an email to inform the Debian security team about his findings. 2 days later, he goes public. he publishes a post on Mastodon. The malicious code is hidden in 2 versions of executils, and Andres also has a hunch as to who might have planted it. Jia Tan. She had secretly added the backdoor to a version of executils just before Andres found it. When Andres makes his findings public, all hell breaks loose.
Did one guy just stop a huge cyber attack?
This may be one of the biggest stories of this year.
Curiosity may have saved us from a devastating cyber attack.
The US Cyber Defense Agency issues an emergency security alert. Luckily, the tampered software hasn't spread far yet, but it has already infiltrated test versions of several major Linux distros, meaning it was just on the verge of massive deployment. An army of developers and cybersecurity experts jump into action. Within just a few hours, they build a fix to neutralize the backdoor. Had it actually made its way into the code of multiple operating systems, the consequences could have been catastrophic. The attackers could have gained unauthorized remote access to countless systems. It would have been the master key to hundreds of millions of computers and servers around the world. Linux operating systems are used in schools, universities, and hospitals. The White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate all use Linux. In one fell swoop, the attackers could have taken down critical services across the globe. They could have spread malware or stolen sensitive information. There's no other way to put it. The world dodged a major bullet, thanks to Andres Freund, the silverback gorilla of nerds, the internet's final boss. The Microsoft developer is praised like a hero, and naturally his story becomes a meme. Even Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella gives him a shout-out for his efforts. Everyone is relieved, disaster has been averted, the shock is wearing off. But the real question remains. Who did this? Who is really behind Jia Tan? Andres Freund doesn't believe this was the work of just one person. He suspects Jia Tan had backup. These users are suspected of being involved. It looks like Enz and Kumar deliberately put pressure on Lasse Collin to clear the way for Jia Tan. Then Janssen, Grigorin, and Mizuita pushed the update through. This whole attack was a masterclass in social engineering. That's when attackers manipulate people into doing something they shouldn't, like making you accidentally give up a password or holding a high-security door for someone who appears to be pregnant. The alleged group behind Jia Tan was insanely clever. Infiltrating executils took not only technical skill, but a ton of patience. Remember, Jia Tan spent an entire year building trust by contributing to other projects before even suggesting changes for executils. Then another 2 years passed before she slipped in the back door. Experts think this was likely the work of state-sponsored hackers. But what state would that be? There's no trace of Jia Tan online. At first glance, Jia Chong Tan seems Chinese. The timing of the posts lines up with the UTC+8 time zone. But that might just be a smokescreen to hide the hacker's true identity and location. Would someone who spends years crafting such an intricate plan, building trust and slowly gaining control, really leave such obvious breadcrumbs? Faking time zones isn't hard. What if the people behind Jia Tan simply changed the time zone on their computer to UTC+8 before each contribution? At least that's what an analysis of her account suggests. The same analysis shows that Jia Tan has worked through major Chinese holidays. That's weird. And it's even weirder that the account was silent on Christmas and New Year's, which are just regular business days in China. Plus, if Jia really lived in the UTC+8 time zone, she would have always been working through the night. The analysis suggests that Jia Tan might actually reside in Eastern Europe. There seem to be a couple of incidents where they forgot to forge the time zone. There were 3 commits made in UTC+2 and 6 in UTC+3. Now, if we assume Jia Tan lives in one of those time zones, she would have typically started working at 9 a.m. and clocked out by 5 p.m. Sounds like a regular job. Experts believe Jia Tan's trail might actually lead to Russia. More specifically to APT-29, also known as Cozy Bear. This state-sponsored hacker group is famous for their sophisticated attacks. The style of the executils hack would fit right in with their usual playbook, but so far there's no solid proof. open source obviously has its advantages. But if this case proves anything, it's how vulnerable our digital infrastructure can be. We came way too close to a major meltdown. A lot of our critical infrastructure today relies on open source software, on programs that are often maintained solely by the passion and commitment of volunteers, by people who do this on the side as a hobby. People like Lasse Collin, who may get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of their projects. If we want our digital systems to be secure, we need to build the right structures as a society and support the open source community. The exatutils attack was insanely sophisticated, and we have to assume there are more of those to come. We can only hope that, when the time comes, the world will have another hero like Andres Freund ready to step up.